Hi everyone, and welcome back to Derbyshire again for another walk in the park. I thought today we'd go for a walk around Lathkill Dale. It's a rather pretty dale. I haven't been there for a while, so I'm quite looking forward to it. Takes in a couple of villages, Youlgrave and Over Haddon. So let's do that. We're going to use the old Ordnance Survey map again. This is the Peak District Explorer map, White Peak area, 1 to 25,000 scale. Right, so the route we're going to take is from this car park here. We'll leave the old Mondeo there, and we'll take this footpath down a little road into Youlgrave, drop down to the River Bradford, along there to the little hamlet of Old Port, up the River Lathkill, Conksbury Bridge, into Lathkill Dale. Then I'm going to divert up to Over Haddon. Great place to have my lunch, and I've got a little story to tell you. And then back down into Dale, along Lathkill Dale. Interesting area this if you're into industrial archaeology. Along the Dale, all the way to Cale Dale, up there a little way, and then back along what is the Limestone Way, over these high level meadows, very pretty, back to the car. About 8 miles in all told, and a nice little stroll, so let's do that. Well, it's a bit of a grey day I'm afraid today, but never mind. Weather forecast says it's going to brighten up a little bit later on. Maybe we'll have a bit of sunshine. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Let's have a good walk. Let's crack on. We're only going to take this footpath for a short way before we drop down into the village of Youlgrave. It's actually part of the Limestone Way, one of those long distance footpaths. It starts at Roaster in Staffordshire and runs up to Castleton in North Derbyshire. Into Youlgrave, and we're going to take this little jitty, and it drops down through some houses to the pretty little dale of the River Bradford. You know, I find places like this incredibly peaceful and tranquil. I could stand here all day just listening to the birds and the babbling of this gin-clear little stream as it winds its way across country. We have a really hot summer though. This little stream has been known to completely disappear. This is limestone country after all, and underground it's just a warren of caverns and potholes, and as soon as the water table drops slightly, this little stream completely disappears. It won't return until the rains do later in the year. And here we are at the lovely little hamlet of Old Port, and it's here where we meet up with the River Lathkill. Now we can't walk along the side of the Lathkill for a while because it passes over private property, but we can take this rather bucolic footpath as it ambles north through these beautiful fields, and we can watch the swallows swooping. If you look carefully you can see them mopping up the flies, ready to take back to their young. After about a mile we'll arrive at Conksbury Bridge. And here we are at Conksbury Bridge. This is where we'll cross the river and into Lathkill Dale. But before we do, I just want to point out that off camera left is the site of the medieval village of Conksbury. It's long gone now, and there's not a lot that remains, and it is on private property, so I can't really show you much. So we'll cross over the river now and head into Lathkill Dale. Now we're not going to go too far because I want to take a diversion and head off to the right up to the village of Over Haddon. It's a lovely little village. It looks down over the dale, and there I can sit and have my lunch, and I've got a little story to tell you. But before we do, look out for the trout. pint of Derbyshire ale, a packet of crisps, and a cheese and pickle sandwich. Cheers. And here we are outside the Lathkill Hotel in Over Haddon. I have no connection with them, but I love the view. I like having my lunch here, and they do serve a jolly fine pint of beer. Now, I told you I had a little story to tell. Well, if you look across the valley, the other side of those trees, there's a farm. It's called Meadowfield Place. And in 1915, Mrs. Oldfield gave birth to Morris. Morris was to become a star at his school in Bakewell and went on to Manchester University and then the army during the Second World War. He joined the Intelligence Corps and then after the war, the Secret Intelligence Service. He's become the head of MI6 in the 1970s. He kept a home here in Over Haddon and returned quite regularly. And he died in 1981, Britain's most highly decorated intelligence officer. And he's buried here in this pretty little church of St Anne's. Back down into the valley now, and we'll continue our walk westwards along Lathkill Dale. As well as this part of Lathkill Dale being a National Nature Reserve, it also has the most amazing industrial heritage. This is limestone area, remember, and it has a rich vein of lead in it, and that lead has been mined for here in Derbyshire since Roman times really. But if you look to the right and left as you walk along the dale, you'll notice evidence of its early 19th century industrial heritage. There's buildings, there's mine shafts, there's soughs, they're drains really, all along this part of the dale. It's a rich heritage really, of which Derbyshire is rightly proud. In fact, there's a lead mining museum at Matlock Bath if you get over that way. Now, as we continue our walk along the dale, we'll eventually come to this pretty little bridge which takes us over the river to Bateman's house, an early 19th century building with a secret. Bateman was a miner, a lead miner, and he built this house not to house his family, but to hide his mine shaft from prying eyes. He'd struck a particularly rich vein of lead, and he wanted to keep it secret for as long as he could. It also hid an enormous water pump he'd commissioned to help drain the water from his mine and enable his miners to work in more safety. Here, as we cross back over the river, do you remember this is a nature reserve? Look out for that lovely little bird, the dipper. And as we carry on, you'll see evidence here. There's a grating over a sough. And as we move further up the river, there's evidence of attempts to control it and manipulate the water flow. Now the valley widens and opens up, and the historical heritage part of Lathkill Dale is behind us. And one last look down Lathkill Dale before we cross the river over this footbridge and enter Caledale. It's only a short walk up Caledale, probably only a couple of 100 yards, before we climb out of the dale via these steps. Now, I used to run up these steps years ago, but not anymore, I'm afraid. Then once at the top, we just go through this gate and out into the beautiful high-level meadows above the valley. Isn't this stunning? I just love being up here. Here we're looking back the way we've just come into Dale. But then if we just look to the right, we can see down into Lathkill Dale. And all we need to do now is follow the well-defined footpath up past the farmyard, over a few fields, through Lowmore Wood, and then 1 or 2 more fields before we reach the car. And the weather has brightened, it has changed for the better, and it is a wonderful ending to another walk in the park.